Yeah, welcome everybody. We all know we're being broadcast live, so keep that in mind. And it is nice to see Chris and Sam and Dick. Congratulations on being a new dad.
Yeah, it's fantastic. How's he treating you?
And to Sam and Chris, glad to see you guys are healing. So, a couple people already said it, and I will tell everybody, Chris and I did talk about him moving back into this seat whenever he felt he was ready, and you basically didn't feel you were quite ready yet, correct? So he'll let me know.
Yeah, I've still got a hearing problem, which I don't think was related to my accident and injuries, but it's from a cold that I got about the same time I was in the accident. So it seems to be getting a tiny bit better, and I hope it gets better quickly. And also a little double vision, which would make the budget twice as big, or the deficit twice as big, so I don't want to inflict that on the town. So.
Okay. All right, let's approve the minutes from last time.
The 20th. It was January 20th.
That's right.
I'm sure we all remember well.
We all remember well. I don't remember any problems with it, though. So.
There were, basically, I'll give you a quick rundown. We went through the minutes from the 13th. Priscilla had drafted the AABC section of the annual report, was approved. We went through the amount of the unassigned fund balance. We talked about what went on at the select board meeting that week and how much was going to be taken out of the fund balance. We went through the final list of warrant articles, discussed the questions we might be asked at the deliberative session and how to prepare. New business was we wanted to add the need for a realistic plan for purchasing DPW equipment to the punch list, but I think we modified that to say just capital equipment or something along those lines. And then Priscilla was going to update the punch list, which I think you did. Julie was going to work on a cheat sheet for the deliberative session and a poster, which is passed and wasn't necessary as it turned out. And you went through the figures for the fund balances from 2006 to 2016, and that was it. And then so we had to work on spring meeting schedule and goals for the year at this meeting. So.
And we have
more warrants.
Yes, we have a few things.
When are they printing?
Well, should we get soon? Okay. There are other actions on this, but okay, great.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstain? 2 abstentions. Okey-doke. Moving right along. All right, first thing I'd like to do is talk about lessons learned from the deliberative session. Any thoughts? Any comments about the deliberative session in general? Don't forget we're live.
I was wondering if they sort of put this gas in the air as people walked in, because nobody said anything for the first time.
I know, wasn't
The
it?
big pictures, for all big ticket items, I'm like,
Is there some mellow gas?
but you know, I think people thought that we've done our homework, quite honestly.
Yeah, I do too.
So why did people not question the fire truck? Did we actually hand out stuff to everyone?
Yeah, no, there was a pile out there and I put a note, please share. There were about 20 copies.
And they were all done?
They were all gone fast. So how much they got circulated, shared, I don't know. I do have one person come up to me who tends to, I don't want to say outspoken because it sounds negative, tends to speak frequently and ask me a couple questions in advance. You guys are okay with this, you're going with that, great. So he just wanted to be sure he knew where the budget committee stood, and a little bit of that was me personally, some of it was the budget committee, and we all sat, which worked very well. So
I had a phone call like that too.
okay.
Probably you all had people talk to you, right?
Yeah, I think we did our.
I think what you said, folks that often speak knew that we had done all the groundwork.
Yeah. I think one of the people that tends to be somewhat, who tends to speak frequently, wasn't there. There were 2 people
We're there.
that weren't there. One who's more of a concern than others in terms of being negative. So, but the other thing too is that one of the selectmen at one point in time had said to me that it's usually an inverse relationship. The lower the dollar value, the more the talk, and that was definitely the case.
Well, because you can put your hands on.
Yeah.
So
You can
that was
understand.
interesting.
I was disappointed, and we knew it was gonna happen, but I was disappointed that our vote wasn't on that,
This,
in the deliberative session.
Correct, but I think that has since become a moot point because it got voted through. And I did ask Linda today too. I said, my back was to the people. I said, was it a, close vote or was it, more leaning one way or the other? Just no, there's no question. It was more for the majority of the people wanted it on the ballot. So, a good majority of the people. So actually it was Kelly I was talking to.
so it will appear in the town report as well as the ballot, is that the?
It has to, doesn't it? Because those have to be
Here's the
the
thing that
same.
goes out in the mail, right?
There's an explanation of the.
But that's not,
warrant, right, so it would go in.
Yeah, in that.
it might go in that,
Where's the
the,
RSA?
the thing was said ballot,
It's a ballot.
but I think the ballot has to look like
Oh.
I think the ballot has to look like the, town report. I don't think those can be different because that's your information.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It would be, did we combine our mailing last year with the selectmen's?
Yes, I believe that's,
And, yeah. Email Joel.
Yes, feel free. Okay, we'll talk about the quarterly report shortly here. So I think there was one thing I learned. We all, and especially me as the acting chairperson at the time, just sort of assumed that most of the dollars on that warrant articles were what they should be. And I think the only ones that really didn't have any kind of investigation to it was the Millet Green one. I think everything else was pretty straightforward as far as that went. But I think the lesson I got there was that perhaps we need to do more homework and next year, and perhaps not only with the dollar amount, but with are there any other warrant articles that are being ignored, or should they or shouldn't they be there, and if so, how much? So.
Did we ignore Millet Green? I couldn't bring it back.
No, we talked about it.
We talked about it, but what was
we
what was
didn't
the
do any
upshot?
research on it. We only heard the explanation of the selectmen.
Which was one of the longest go-rounds, from 5 to 8, back to 5, up to 10.
I mean, and what are we gonna do, get our own bids?
I don't know. I guess we could have talked to somebody.
We could have had Bruce in and maybe, because it seemed like he didn't know what David knew. Remember he asked David a question? He said, I know about this wall, but I'm not sure about the other one, the cement wall. Anyway, he asked David a question, and then it seemed he was less sure about his bid.
Yeah, it all seemed a little iffy.
But, I agree with Carol that there are things that we should have dug into, we should be sure we know.
There isn't much time, though, by the time many of those warrant articles come in. We have about a week.
And we're still learning, too.
We are still learning, though it certainly was more comfortable this year than last.
Oh, definitely.
But, some of those warrant articles are actually put in so late that there's not,
Scroll back.
not their time.
That's
Can
true.
I ask, when did that Millet Green come to this committee's attention?
At the same time all the other ones did, which was at the latest early January. I was going to say, no, probably sometime around Christmas.
No, it was after that.
Yeah, early
They were
January.
Because they weren't due in until, second Tuesday in January was the drop dead date? Something like that?
It was very last minute. One of the concerns that we all had was the fact that the planning timeline that had been developed last year really hadn't been followed. The other concern was that the drafts of the warrant articles that we saw only had one selectman's name on it, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of input from the others. All of that was an issue. So there wasn't really a lot of time to do a lot of research.
It sounds like that was a good thing to get on there if the septic system is going to collapse. I'm surprised that somehow that hadn't come to our punch list, that needed to be done.
I'm not really sure how much people are paying attention to that punch list, and that's a big concern.
Yeah, but, I mean, who did that? Was that generated by the selectmen or the DPW or?
Which, the Miller Green one?
Yeah, those retaining walls.
I'm not sure. You know, again, it came from one selectman. The other thing that concerned me was, and now that you mentioned that, it popped in my mind, was the fact that the line item for building maintenance for 2016 got booted up. And part of that was because of the door needing to be done at the firehouse, so the fire truck can get in there if it gets approved. And no one really mentioned that the other day in terms of, well, can it come out of the budget? Well, yeah, you know, fixing Miller Green can come out of the budget, but you had money set aside for other stuff, so, you know, if you do this, then you can't do that. And, you know, so I didn't think it was my place to be saying that, so perhaps I should have. If anybody feels otherwise, say so. But you know, learning experience for me too. But that was a concern. I mean, you know, we didn't just pick some random number to put in there for building maintenance. So
I was wondering, a couple of us stood up. I mean, I know one of them was me, and I had no intention of doing so. But when Glenn stood up with the other figure, was that us or was that?
that was him.
Okay, because I think in the future, we might want to make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were talking about Glenn and the paving?
Yeah, but I did it too, about specifying it's Slade Cemetery. I had no intention of doing that, but I found myself standing there, and I went, oh, okay, say something. But, you know, I think if we're speaking for the group, we should say we're speaking for the group. We all just kind of, you know, did the thing, and we're...
Well, I think there was some question about whether we would be well received if we made a motion such as increasing a warrant article as a group. Right?
But it did look, to me, it looked like we were doing the paving as a group. I don't know how anybody else felt.
Well, I mean, it's true that was the number that we...
No, it's true, yeah, that was our number.
But it's also true that we didn't know Glenn was going to do that.
No, I didn't. I was racking my brain. Did I fall asleep?
No, I believe, I shouldn't speak for him, but it's my understanding that he deliberately didn't tell us so that we wouldn't have that issue of people saying, you know, we don't want to hear the opinion of the budget committee as a group.
But I think Mary Ann's right. That
And it's contrary to the selectmen.
That we should be speaking, and I made a point when I got up about the us being included on the ballot to say I was acting chair of the budget committee, so that, you know, it wasn't just for citizen type things.
Right. So
Chris, do you want to sit closer so that you can hear?
I manage it.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. Anything else in terms of doing a post-mortem? That's the term I was looking for today. I was thinking it wasn't dissection, it wasn't autopsy, it was post-mortem.
I'm going to say you're very quick on your feet. Somebody said something and you nailed it, what the real scenario had been. And I wouldn't have thought of it. Something about meeting everybody halfway, and you turned it was your idea. It was so quick. I was like, I would have thought of it like 24 hours later, you know? I'm one of those. I was like, damn it, I should have said that.
I usually am too, so, but...
No, you bang. And very politely.
Well, I also said that I didn't want to get into the politics at some point, you know, during that conversation too, so... but I think all of this, well, I know I was scratching my head afterwards trying to figure out where he was coming from, with why
I don't know.
he was saying no when he was the one who, you know, had pointed out that what's going on here with this stuff, that you know.
Who's he? What are we talking about here?
One of the, somebody that we've had as a guest who tends to be a little outspoken about the select board and the budget, and was basically kind of adamantly opposed to us being on the ballot, even though they were pushing the budget committee to be part of, and even one that had talked about joining the budget committee, you know, because trying to get the selectmen to listen and stuff, so.
And he said something about when we were going round and round on the should our voice be heard, that at the last meeting we decided not to battle the selectmen or something to that effect, that we decided to meet them halfway.
That we
And
got.
she said, That was your suggestion. Really fast.
Well, it was, and I mean,
It
it was
was.
a reasonable suggestion.
Yes, it
but
was.
That we weren't going to debate the numbers, but we wanted our voice to be heard. And I mean, if anything, you think the selectmen would want our voices to be heard if we're supporting them, so that more people will, listen and hear, like, hey, there's, it's not necessarily like lemmings, but there's a whole bunch of people that
There's a whole lot of thoughtful people. who
That's
can
right.
pay attention.
But the way it was said,
It was surprising.
he made it sound like we decided we met the
Yeah, he said something like, you decided not to fight.
Yeah, or something.
Right.
It's like, gosh,
It
I'm
was
never
a
that quick.
weird moment.
It was a very weird moment. I kept wondering why somebody cared whether it was Slade Cemetery or not. But that was, it didn't matter.
One of many mysteries.
I know, I'm just like, what is the big deal? I'm sorry, I stood up.
And the other thing, just one small thing about the operating budget, I personally was expecting a big debate about the
It's not there.
town administrator.
It's not there.
And
They
that
took
mine's
it out.
considered.
Well, no, they took it out, they moved it to avoid the big discussion
Yeah.
about a town.
I know, and I
administrator.
gotta say,
Very smart on their part.
no, I don't think so.
They'll hire a town administrator and just take the money out of Chronicle.
No, I think there's going to be some real issues with that.
I think there is
To be
too.
honest. From a couple perspectives, I think you have there's some debate as to how much staff you need, no matter what level they're at and what their functions are. You're going to have new select board, no matter how you look at it. There's going to be changes, and we're going to have to learn to work with them and what they want versus what this current select board wants. Maybe two different things. I think their approach of moving it so there would be minimal discussion was not unreasonable, but I'm not sure what the total thought was, in terms of, again, there is a job description. I think Priscilla had dug it out. I had it with me just in case. I don't know that anybody's put a salary range on that position, so there's still an awful lot of nebulous stuff out there that needs to be pinned down. And again, it's got to be pinned down, and so that may be something that we're going to push. In terms of what we want to do this year is forcing the issue on that too, because at some point Linda's going to go, and
They'll be sure your staff do their
Right.
efforts to even do
And-
what
and
they
the-
were doing.
I was surprised, because when I was here, it was a long time ago, 10 years ago, they always talked about full transparency, and then they buried that money. That sort of bothered me.
Oh, don't you happen to know the people who complain about one thing are totally guilty of it
No,
themselves?
I think they just want to get it through. I don't know. It tweaked me a little.
One of the things that I didn't really think about until after everything it was too late was whether or not to have a consensus from the meeting to continue the budget committee. Because we could be dissolved at any moment.
Well, earlier on this last year, I suggested that the warrant article, to have a town meeting establish the budget committee rather than the select board. That didn't happen this go around, but we should keep that in the back of our heads should things become difficult.
and you're talking strictly advisory budget committee.
Absolutely.
Right.
Statute, the RSA provides for that, it provides for the town meeting to establish it and so forth.
Yeah, and
That's the way I would, I keep that in my pocket for now.
I think we need to think about it.
I think they were shooting themselves in the foot. We're only helping.
Well,
They took most of our numbers, obviously.
Well, the numbers were lower.
Yeah.
The only one they didn't take was the paving.
Yeah, I got through anyway, actually a little higher. All right, we need to go through and get some votes down here. Operating budget. Shall the town of Alstead, do you want me to read all of these?
No.
Okay.
Operating budget is good.
Operating budget. Those in favor of that warrant article? Anybody opposed? Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Marge told me that she would go with the majority on these. I don't know that it's appropriate to include
Well,
the
no,
ads, so I thought that was
don't think
okay.
we can do
So
that.
I was worried when I asked that we weren't going to, that, if Chris couldn't make it, Sam couldn't make it, Nick couldn't make it, that we'd be really low in numbers, and I wanted to avoid that, so, okay, I think 9 people is more than adequate, so.
So do you put how many were absent?
I'll put
Uh,
9 out of 9. 9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point, exactly. And I have a spreadsheet that Joel gave me too, so. All right. Article 3, purchase a combination pumper rescue truck. Those in favor? Okay, it's 9-0. Thank you all for your support. Tip on that one. Article 4, to add to the fire department capital reserve fund, $20,000 to be raised by taxation. All those in favor? Anybody opposed?
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Should we have some discussion on that?
We can go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go for it.
Let's discuss. Your fur again.
But she's wondering if we can influence others' votes.
No, not necessarily. I'm easily swayed.
You want to have something to say it rather than...
No, I don't know what I want to say. What did we think?
Because the idea was
3 weeks
didn't
ago.
put it in, like, that you're taking money out and putting money in, and that was a little silly. That was the,
Oh,
that's the argument.
And
my mind is a
and my argument is that I'm concerned about lowering the fund balance, unassigned fund balance.
That's being raised by taxation.
That's taxation, though.
It's by taxation.
You want to change your vote, or you want to stay the same?
I'll change my vote.
All right. You're still opposed, right, John?
No.
Okay.
Wish I remembered.
So what is the count on that?
8 and 1. Okay. Add to the bridge capital reserve fund, that is $25,000 to be raised from new tax. No amount to be raised from new taxation. That's fund balance.
And what did we think about that 3 weeks ago? Could somebody remind me?
I'm
Sorry, guys.
We didn't have a heavy discussion on that one.
No?
The only thing I think is it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not.
That's too
Yeah.
late to go to
Okay.
that.
I think we were thinking that, this is an infrastructure
Yeah. Oh, right.
investment.
Okay.
And,
Yep, got it.
Bridges, roads,
The
high
ones,
priority.
the ones we varied with was paving with a dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
The cemetery, we said,
Not a priority.
no, but I think we were taking it out of different funds, and I think the striping we wanted to zero out.
And that's not in.
But the striking isn't a warrant this year. That's in the budget.
Oh, you moved it. Okay. Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay.
All right, I forgot about that. All right, so adding to the bridge capital reserve fund from the fund balance. All those in favor? Okay, let's see. Adding to the transfer station capital reserve fund of $2,500 to be added from taxation. All those in favor? Those opposed? How many were opposed again? I'm sorry. 3. 3, make that 4.
Are there any abstentions?
No. So that's a 5 to 4. All right. To add to the highway capital reserve fund, $40,000 to come from the fund balance. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain?
Wait a minute. Highway fund balance, I should have done those numbers. Okay, so everyone's in favor of
No,
that?
no. Everyone is not in favor yet. You didn't raise your hand.
So, are you in favor or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
That's fine. That was all right. All right. Article 8, to add to the shed porta capital reserve fund, $15,000 from the fund balance. All those in favor? Okay, that's not.
No.
To add $5,000 to the police capital reserve fund to be raised by taxation. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Okay, that's a 7-1-1. I'm abstaining on that one.
So so much.
612.
No, that's not right, 712.
No,
No,
612.
711.
612. You abstained.
Oh.
I abstained.
When you do this over again?
Who said?
All those in
who said
favor?
Aye.
On this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Opposed? 2 abstentions. Okay. 10, paving roads. Okay, $252,000 to come from, actually, this is the wording here. Shall the town of Alstead, it's will vote, that's not correct. Why does it have shall the town of Alstead will vote to raise, English doesn't seem right, to raise and appropriate sum of, pardon? It's in every one of these, I just realized. To raise and appropriate the sum of $252,000 for the purpose of paving roads, Walpole Valley and March Hill, and any surplus of materials to be used for Homestead Road and Drewsville Road. This sum to come from December 31st fund balance available for transfer on January 1st. No amount to be raised by new taxation.
So, we said 252, then we went down to 180, and then it's now up to 252. How do I feel about that?
Basically because asphalt's really cheap now, and maybe we can get more than just.
More bang for the buck, I get
Yeah.
that, but maybe
Well-
it goes farther as well,
The other thing that was a concern is
at 190.
no, what got me was with the 180 was the fact that it wasn't enough. It wouldn't have finished the job.
Yeah.
So they just, again, the select board arbitrarily cut that number without input from, apparent input from David. That was a concern.
Yeah, one of the selectmen spoke strongly about wanting to appropriate only the money, the amount that we usually appropriate.
It was
And
too
he
much.
didn't know what it was.
Which has consistently left our roads unpaved. Great idea.
That would bring us taking about $450,000 and actually more like $475 out of the fund balance, I believe. Striping that zeroed out.
Yeah, how is the fund balance looking at all of this?
It's looking
Well,
like
the
a
other
lot's coming out.
thing, the other thing too is that if they vote to discontinue the town hall, then that money's gonna go in. That's another 60, so that's gonna be almost a wash with the paving as well, so.
But
But if they don't,
if they don't,
Right.
and also,
That's
right,
an if.
that, yeah. I mean, work's gotta be done somewhere on that town hall.
so what are we left with, I mean?
Well, let's take a look at this, hold on a second. We proposed, and they changed, the ambulance capital reserve fund got changed, I believe paving got changed, and the cemeteries, we had it coming from, it's down under fund balance now, and I'm not sure what I said the cemeteries was. Piles here. That's gonna come from the fund balance, that's what we had. I think we had it down for taxation or something like that. So the number was,
We
got
took it
up.
down to zero.
Did we have the cemeteries? Okay, so they put it back in.
Right.
Okay. I think that's something else that needs to go on the hit list in terms of what you're saying about the money that they have and being able to spend some of it or whatever. So-
Bruce answered that very well, I thought.
He
did,
did,
but
except
he
we got
I thought
different
it was
figures.
double talk.
Okay.
Well, no, it's not that it was double talk, but the figures that we got, was they had, at the end of the year, they had $40,000.
He did not address that.
No,
He didn't say
Said-
what the
he said
amount was.
12. He didn't say what he had to send it into, he said they had 12 available. I'm just wondering whose figures are so wrong?
Well, the trustees' report is the last word on how much money is where.
Right.
And last year, they earned 9,000, and they spent 12,000. I think maybe that's where he got his 12 from. And so they
And
took
it was 3.
the 2,500 or whatever out of accumulated income. And accumulated income, which had been 42, and if they had spent nothing, would have gone to 47, went down to 40. Because they spent 2,000-ish more than they made.
Because everybody got raises.
You know, not my
Yeah,
problem.
right, that may be, but the fact is that if they still have that 40,000,
What I would like to find out from, I mean, I kind of ignored cemeteries until this came up with the warrant article, but I'd like to know when the DPW personnel mow their lawns, does the town get reimbursed for that time? I should hope so, but I need to clarify that.
they split their things. They have to sign in and out now. They have to sign in and out of transfer station, shoveling the sidewalks, versus working on the roads kind of thing. So they're supposed to.
Does DPW, because of Alstead Center,
DPW does not.
Gene and Ernie,
Gene mow the
Alstead
Alstead
Center.
It seems to me that our guys at the DPW are very expensive lawn mowing labor. And they could easily, I mean, it's.
But I don't know that
I
they
think
do.
Joel was trying to get an outside bid for that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
for
well,
mowing and for
well,
cemeteries.
Hire a high school student.
You can't have them.
That has to do with insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance, not just for the person, but the
Cemetery.
use of the, well, maybe the cemetery, but use of the equipment.
And mowing the cemetery is tricky.
Lots of
Cemeteries.
obstacles. Yeah, very tricky. It's not an easy, that's not an easy job.
As long as the town's not paying for it, as long as the town's being reimbursed, I don't feel so bad.
We can go with the British.
Well, I'm sure that the
System,
cemetery,
which is put on our sheet
has perpetual care funds, which are invested, from which they have income, and I presume that those costs come from the income from those funds.
It should. They can't, they've got $435,000 of principal that they cannot spend.
No,
That just is their making money.
income from that.
But in the income column, they have now $40,000 of accumulated income that they should be able to spend, and that was, he just obfuscated the whole thing. And
So he thinks he can only spend the income that was accumulated in this year.
that was earned in this year.
Yes.
He doesn't think he can spend accumulated
Right.
income, and I think that's really wrong.
I think that's silly.
Thank you.
Well, maybe we should
Wait.
have him in
Is
it.
it only what you earn this year is silly?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
But we're back to
The damn cemetery.
that's one thing, and again, we're spending a lot of time on the low end things. The other thing is,
You predicted that.
no, I just was repeating what somebody else said. One other question, who dictates that trust money can only be, you can only spend the income, that you can't touch the trust money? Is there some legal document that says that?
Yeah.
Okay, so usually when there's trust, if there's an issue, you can go back to a probate court, can't you? And petition the probate court for a change?
And they did that, I believe, with.
Well, why should you? The money that's in there for perpetual care should be held in trust, and the income thereof should finance perpetual care.
Okay, but if there's something major that needs to be done, like these walls repaired, then why not be able, if there's that much money in there, why not be able to go back? I mean, I think it's something that could be pursued. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
I'm not so sure it's a trust that goes to probate court. It's a non-profit organization.
Well, it's part of the town.
I think it's a,
It's us.
I think it's a probate
trust
issue.
probate issue?
I do.
I think it's something that could be explored, so
Look
I'm
at
just,
look at the RSA's, folks.
I'm just starting a list of it down the pike of things that, and the town administrator's on there, the cemeteries is on there right now, and then, we'll go from there. So, all right, paving roads, we never did adjust that one.
Did
We
we
don't.
vote on the cemetery money?
No,
Not
we
yet,
haven't
we got-
gotten there yet.
yeah.
We got
We
sort of
skipped.
off,
Okay. Paving roads,
right.
$252,000 coming from fund balance. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
I can't decide.
One section, one opposed.
So what do you have?
Seven in favor, one abstained, and one opposed. To add to the capital ambulance capital reserve fund, $15,000 to come from fund balance.
No.
You know what?
Oh, sorry. I read taxation. My apologies. I thought it was coming from taxation. I'm sorry.
Okay, can we start? I'm not very alert tonight. Start at the beginning of this new one.
The town of Alstead, shall we vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be added to the ambulance capital reserve fund, coming from fund balance? All those in favor? Opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so 8 to 1.
What was that again, 8 to 1?
8 to 1. Number 12, to purchase an equipment trailer, $15,000, and that shall come from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund. No amount to be raised from taxation. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, 9 to nothing. To repair cemetery stone walls, shall the town of Alstead vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the purpose of repairing some stone walls in Slade Cemetery? Coming from fund balance. All those in favor? All those opposed? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opposed.
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining.
Wait a minute, 6 to
What was that
opposed?
So I missed somebody. 1 in
How
favor,
did you vote?
opposed.
1 for.
So one in favor, so that's 7 opposed. What'd you vote?
I was opposed.
Yeah, all right, so that's 7 opposed. Everybody who's opposed, raise your hands again, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, try that. Okay. 14, to repair the stone walls on Millet Green, $10,000, and that will come from the fund balance. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's 8. Sam? Opposed?
They haven't done their homework.
They haven't, but a leach field could go kaplowy. That's the only reason I'm saying yes.
Right, exactly.
My attitude is we can appropriate the money, but we need to stay on their butts about how that's handled, and that should go on the list for down the pike, too. To design, specify, and permit a replacement bridge, shall we raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of designing, specifying, and permitting a bridge, come from the fund balance. All those in favor?
How much money?
$50,000.
50?
Yeah.
5-0.
Yes, and they do have an estimate on that, so they've done their homework on that one. All those opposed? Abstain? To discontinue the new Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund. Shall the town of Alstead vote to discontinue the Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund created in 2009? Said fund with accumulated interest to date of withdrawal to be transferred to the municipality's general fund. Is that the same as the unfund? Yeah. That thing. Okay, all those in favor?
Discontinuing?
Yes, discontinuing the Town Hall Fund. All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
We are. If we agreed on everything or disagreed on everything, we would not be legitimate. It's comforting to see.
What was that, Sally?
2, 5, and 2. 17, to modify the veterans credit. To modify the veterans tax credit in accordance with RSA 72:28 from its current tax credit of $50 per year to $30,000. Excuse me, $300. $300 per year. It doesn't say per year. If adopted by the voters, the modified veterans tax credit will go into effect on April 1st, 2016. And, the select board is all in favor of that one. So, all those in favor? Okay. 18, to donate use of town land to Fall Mountain Friendly Meals.
And that was revised.
Shall the town of Alstead agree to donate to the
No.
No,
It was changed.
To allow the use, allow the food shelf to use a portion of a parcel of property.
Joel's got agreed to donate.
That's
And
incorrect.
where it says Article 18, to donate the use of town land, the sort of header for that, but then in the actual text, it doesn't say the same thing.
This is the most recent one that he just sent to me in terms of what he's
Read
about.
yours
It
again?
hasn't changed. It's a type.
Oh yeah, this is an actual what he's drafting for a ballot.
What is,
Shall the town of Alstead agree to donate to the Fall Mountain Friendly Meal, Fall Mountain Emergency Food Shelf, the use of parcel of property on Brad Lane to build an approximately 50-foot by 100-foot structure and provide access and parking for approximately 28 vehicles?
Donate the use and allow the
Donate
use
the use,
is
yeah.
the same.
It's true. I don't know how would take away the word donate, because that's what people will say.
Donate the use.
Is anybody on that task force? Subcommittee, whatever?
No, nobody from the town joined it.
No,
All
that's
right.
not true. Gordon Moody's on it.
Rick Moody's dead.
Who's the guy who stood
Gordon
up?
Kemp?
no,
Who's the guy who stood up and
no,
said,
Mike Jasper?
David Bowie.
okay.
David Moody.
I think he's on it. I think he's been going. He's not
He said,
officially.
I'm representing Alstead on
That's
this.
Because I've heard from the select board's meeting multiple times and that no one volunteered to join that committee officially. So, okay, moot point anyway.
Okay.
All right, so shall the town of Alstead agree to donate the use, assuming that's correct, that they can use the land?
It means, it was
Doesn't mean
It
anything.
was listed that we were donating the land.
I know.
That was the problem.
Definitely was.
Right. I mean, this is a problem too, but that was really a problem.
This is still really a problem.
Do we need to clarify the wording? Will it make a difference to anyone?
We can't change what's there.
But I don't know that I have what's here is what's right. All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? 171. 19, Silvio Conte Wildlife Refuge. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service boundary for the Silvio Conte Wildlife Refuge includes the entire watershed of the Connecticut River. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's current goal includes 25% of the privately owned acreage in Alstead. Do you oppose this plan by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services to acquire this portion of the property tax base of the town of Alstead?
That is so false on so many ways. I know we have to vote on it here, but that is such,
Bullshit.
exactly. Exactly. This is like when you do those surveys, which ad nauseum. How do you feel about the fact that everybody should have a, have use of a gun because somebody could come into your house and shoot you and, don't you want to have, I mean, it's like,
Push poll question.
yes, exactly. There is so much that is incorrect about that information that's in that. It just, I don't even know. I mean,
You can abstain, which is.
I can't abstain because I would definitely vote. Wait a minute, that's a negative. I know. So you're going to have to vote yes if you don't want it.
Yes.
Don't want.
If you oppose. If you
oppose
the
that,
government
you
doing
vote-
this, you vote yes.
No.
Read it again.
Do you oppose this plan?
Do you oppose?
Yes.
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 No.
Is this really the plan?
Well, it isn't. It isn't. That
Is
isn't.
this a budget issue?
No.
No, we
Doesn't
don't.
matter. But
We
the
don't have
selectmen,
to.
the selectmen have all voted, they voted yes in favor of this one.
They voted yes in favor of opposing it. Got it.
I still don't know what we're doing.
I just,
That's what we asked.
well,
No.
I
I'm going to abstain because
because it doesn't make any sense.
If you're in favor of this article, you vote yes right now. If you're opposed to this article, you vote no.
Right, but
And if you have to
it's not a
serve,
matter
you
of whether you're,
abstain to be safe.
it's not even a matter of whether you're in favor of it or opposed to it. It has too much false information.
Well, it's
in
on
it.
the ballot.
Can we vote on whether we think this should be on the warrant?
No.
It is.
I
We already did that.
I
We
think
vote,
there's two
we
things to
vote yes,
consider.
we agree that this article should pass as it stands. If we vote no, we agree that the article should not pass, in which case it vanishes.
Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah, no, that's true.
That's
If it-
true?
Because then nothing happens.
Yeah, if it fails, the article fails, then nothing
It
happens.
sounds like
Well,
we're
here's another
voting.
question, what happens if it passes?
Right, exactly. And I'm not answering
Nothing.
Nothing. That's it.
I think there's two questions to me. One, from a personal standpoint, in my mind, is that I'm not sure it really affects us.
Right.
Okay, and two, the other thing is that it's such a broad issue that, personally I feel it's safer just abstaining because I don't know where it's going to go. So let's call the vote. All those in favor of this?
All those who are opposed to the Silvio Conte, whatever.
All of us who are in favor of the passing of this article will now vote yes.
Correct. All those opposed to passing this article? Okay. All those who are abstaining? Okay. 0, 4, 5. Okey dokey. Just look them over and make sure they jive with what you got, because I gotta get them back.
Well, let's do that when we can.
How about let's not say we did. Okay, all right, so we got that taken care of. What do we need to do between now and the March elections?
So, quarterly report.
I do.
All right, quarterly report. What do we need to include in the
I
quarterly
think
report?
explaining the unassigned fund balance, that seemed to be something nobody could get there.
Yeah.
Try that again.
I mean, because they're gonna be reading it on the warrant articles, here's a heads up on the warrant articles from unassigned fund balance. What is the unassigned fund balance?
I think-
Yada, yada,
Right, and
Yeah,
I think
that's
we
all.
should do that. The selectmen have to okay it.
No, they
Yes,
have,
that's
they don't
right.
okay
No.
anything.
They have to,
Agree to put to.
to post.
Take the postage, that's the
Right.
only part they've got.
Comments and suggestions.
Because, I think that is the way to go. I think the way to go is basically what were in our minutes that were posted. However,
Okay.
and then I think we need to add up everything that's going to be coming from the
Yes.
fund balance.
Okay.
As if everything passes, these are all the things that are coming from the fund balance, which is 100,000 more than we,
Not quite.
I thought you said it was 480. We have 390 available.
350 is what you have here.
We might get 60 back.
350, okay, we have 350.
In cash.
No,
No, fund balance.
we have,
Cash. It says cash right on
cash
here.
on hand is
Cash.
161.
No, No. Okay, we've got estimated cash in the unified fund balance for 2016, $352,000.
Okay,
That's what's in the minutes, okay? That's cash. Okay, don't forget that just because it says it's coming out of the fund balance doesn't mean it has to come out the day after we vote. Okay, so
and things are going to be coming in.
correct. So these things can be prioritized. They can be December 31st until something comes out. So
And a bunch of this stuff is going into capital reserve funds, which is really only a paper transfer.
exactly.
It's not real money.
So it's not an issue as far as that stuff goes.
And so that needs to be mentioned.
That one
Yeah.
needs to be clarified.
Right. So what's coming out is going to be 250. And, no, that's not true because, well, it is true. was gonna say something going to the highway. 250 is
252.
coming up. 252 plus,
Plus 50 for the bridge design.
so we're at 302.
At some point 70 for the fire truck, but that could easily be 2017 that it actually is physically takes it out.
302 plus, you said 70 or 75?
70.
Okay, so 372.
And the cemetery is in Miller Green, which is
Well, that's it?
10.
Yeah, that's the only real one.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a big deal.
Should we sum it up with
Should
leaving
sum-
us with X?
Right.
Well, I think, again, the fact that it was stressed at the meeting that we need to say that this doesn't affect taxation, something in the quarterly report needs to explain that this is what the fund balance is, and, the only items that are beyond the budget that are going to affect taxation are, bump, bump, bump. All the others are coming from money that's already in savings.
Right.
And I think if you try to equate things to, a Christmas club or a savings
Right.
account or something, I think that, simple terms that we all get instead of accountant talk, that helps.
But I also think an important part of it is the fact that of this fire truck that is going to be this amount of money we have been putting in over the years into a capital reserve fund, so that this year we only have to,
So use the fire truck as an example.
I would use the fire truck as an example of why capital reserve funds are so important and how they can keep our taxes on a,
Steady.
more level. And I think it's a perfect example of capital reserve funds, and you get within striking distance.
Good point.
We should call it the Christmas club.
Alstead Christmas Club.
I think I would not use that word.
Really?
It might be politically incorrect.
I know. Season club.
Christmas.
Holiday.
Holiday. Well, no, but the Jehovah's Witnesses don't do holidays, so you are.
That's your savings account.
Okay.
I'm getting a very different number than you did.
Well, I figured we could start out without putting numbers in.
So I think you guys need to go through and add up the amount that's coming from fund balance.
Want it to be in the minutes?
Oh,
No,
do you want me to do it?
no, I don't know. I was just,
No, but do we have
Well, this is
the
gonna start
modern, do we have the most recent copy? That's the problem, we don't have the most recent copy.
I can email it to you.
Oh, is that how he sent it? Okay, all right, I was gonna put a face on the board.
You want me to do that real quick?
no.
So everybody can see
No,
it?
oh,
We'll work out.
well, yeah, but Priscilla, I'm curious as to what Priscilla's coming up with, because it seems to me that was too few, that we have more things
We
in
have
fund
many.
balance.
Plus the amount, the tax credit for the veterans has a cost as well.
About $16,000. That's assuming everybody applies. I don't know whether they have to reapply for it or not. All right, so quarterly report, we're agreed that the unassigned fund balance has to be explained again, and we need to, the other thing is the fact that dollars going to the capital reserve fund are really only a paper transfer. We want to stress that the dollars are from fund balance versus taxation. Am I correct on what's going on in the quarterly report? Yep, these are starters. Yep, and if you guys come up with anything else. Okay.
Who's gonna write it?
Somebody on the committee. You ought to be able to take some of this stuff from what's on the webpage and use it again.
I will draft it. You will try.
What's our timeline on this?
I was gonna email Joel and ask him when his thingy's going out. I can do that when I get home tonight.
Just let me know.
Yeah. I would imagine it's sooner rather than. No, wait a minute.
It
No.
is sooner, it is sooner because, not,
No,
I mean,
we
not
get it
typically.
just before we, whoa.
Well, we get it about 2 weeks before we go.
That long?
Yeah, because then in it, it says to pick up the town report at the library and town offices.
Okay.
So, and that's not gonna be a available.
We vote on the 8th, I believe, which puts us at the last week of February. It would have to go out, which gives us about all of 2 weeks,
Right.
which means we need to meet next Wednesday to go over it.
So we should have a draft by next Wednesday, even if the numbers are blank, okay?
Okay, all right.
And
So,
you've done a lot of work on the unassigned fund balance recently.
No, I mean, Joel and I have been back and forth on
So
it,
you have a, yeah, okay.
a bit, but no, I haven't done a lot more than what was reported with selectmen and then
Yeah.
she
I-
clarified.
I went over the stuff that Dan Curl did last year. That's where I got those numbers.
And he arrived at the meeting too, thanks to.
Yeah.
So-
well, now that you're talking about the fund balance too, wasn't there some confusion at the hearing for a town meeting that the select board was saying one number and I respectfully corrected them that we didn't agree? So who's right?
Well, they only
What
came
I'm
up with
doing-
one number. They came up with
They came up with 250,
Yeah,
and we said 350.
that's a big difference.
But I think they were remembering that they decided that was the minimum that they would draw it down to.
Yeah.
Because they made that decision at some point, that they would not go below 250, because that's the minimum amount that they are legally required.
Well, actually, they can go quite a bit lower than that.
No, they can't. That's
5% the operating
5%.
budget.
No, it's 5% of the whole thing, like the 4 million something. It's the whole tax load. It
Okay,
includes all
I
of
thought
it.
it was just the operating budget.
It's not. I was so confused about that, because that would be like 70, they'd
Right,
like 75,000.
that's no emergency, right, we would have not handle any emergency at all.
Right.
No, I much
Right.
prefer what you have to say.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so we know we need to meet next week to go over the quarterly report. What other kinds of things do we want to be doing going forward here, into spring and summer and well, in 2 batches? One, what do we want to do between now and the election? And then let's address that one first. Anything besides the quarterly report?
I have a proposal, which I've already mentioned to Carol, and